Sausage Boss Backyard Bacon Banger. Snap it open. Wow. Smoky, beefy, bacony, little bit of spice at the end, like a sweet and spicy almost. It works so well with the bacon. What's going on, guys? Joe from the Sausage Boss here to show you guys how to make sausage at home. This is something I don't typically do, but something I've been wanting to do for a while now. So no better way than on YouTube, full length version. Before I continue, this specific sausage is not available for sale on my website. Just want to clear that before we get going. I get a lot of questions about what's available. If you want to look at my website, the link's in my bio. I ship nationwide, specialty sausages, but this specific flavor is not available on the website. Today, from scratch, got all my seasonings. We got our beef and ground bacon mix, and we're going to be using a 35 millimeter hog casing. And we're also going to be using the 10-pound stuffer from LEM. This was actually what I started on years ago, and I haven't used it for a while, but I'm excited to do it in the backyard. It's pretty windy today, but we're going to try to smoke them on the Primo ceramic grill. Let's get into it. All right, so what we have here is a nice mix of bacon and ground beef. You can smell the bacon in it. So I took 4 pounds of ground beef. I didn't want anything too fatty because of the bacon, so I did a bottom round. Cut it up. I ground it at the shop. I added about a pound and 3/4 of bacon and ground that up on a number 32 grinder plate. So we have a bunch of seasonings here. I'm going for a little bit of just a traditional backyard barbecue sausage. No cheese in this one. Start off about 2 tablespoons of salt. We got some brown sugar, garlic powder, onion powder, black pepper, some sugar. We got some ground red pepper for a little spice, and then paprika. So we're going to go ahead and start with the 2 tablespoons of salt. Spread it evenly. 1 tablespoon of black pepper. It's a little windy today. Garlic and onion. It's about 3/4 of a tablespoon. So let's throw them in. Sugar, I'm going to use about half of what's in here, so 1 tablespoon. Brown sugar, I'm going to use this whole thing. This was 2 tablespoons. Paprika, about half a tablespoon. And then ground red pepper, I got a little bit here, probably about half a tablespoon as well. I'm not even going to use the whole thing, just I want a little bit of spice in there. I almost forgot, we're going to do a little bit of milk powder just to give it a nice bind. If you don't want the milk powder, you don't have to use it. Let's start mixing it up. When you mix, you want to push down and squeeze. Squeeze it in there. Make sure you're getting everything work together. Incorporate all the seasonings together. And that milk powder is going to give this really nice bind. So what you want to do is mix it until it starts becoming very tacky. It's already getting pretty firm here. After a couple rounds of mixing. What are we, about a minute in? When you're making sausage, it's all about that texture. When I first started, you don't mix it enough. You don't use milk powder. You have too much liquid, things like that. Everything affects it tremendously. So a good test. Looks like all the ingredients are pretty well in here. So we mixed it all. It's fully incorporated. You want to mix it until you get a nice tacky texture. And I'll show you the way you can determine if you've mixed enough. If it sticks to your hand like this, then you mixed enough. So now what we're going to do, we're going to take our 10-pound stuffer. Let's take the meat. It's a very nice bind. And just stuff it in. So we'll get a couple shots here. We get a little bit in, push it down, make sure it's packed in there nice. That'll help with the stuffing process. You can hear the air releasing, and that's it. Keep your area clean. I'm going to put this sheet tray underneath. And we're going to start. Let's get this down. Starting point. I want to get a little bit out here. That's good. Now I want to open up the casings. Throw a towel down here. Find the end. Now these have been soaking for a little bit, but what you want to do is open up the end, dip some water in, and run it through. It'll open these right up. A lot easier to stuff on the end here. Just slide it on, and away she goes. My favorite part. Just feels so right. Just feels so right doing this sometimes. I don't know what it is, but we're gonna run it on. Like I said, we got about 6 pounds in there. So one strand of these casings should be pretty close to doing the job. So let's see. Since you already got the air out from getting this piece out, what I'm gonna do is tie the end off here. And then we're gonna start stuffing. Very slowly. Just push it out. I like to stuff and then tie at the end. So just go nice and slow. Get the hang of it. Try to limit the air pockets, air bubbles, by giving it a little pinch here. But we're just going to keep it going. Coil it up as you go, just to keep it clean. And we're almost at the end here. There we go. Take that. So usually when you get the whole casings, a whole strand will fit about 10 pounds, 10, 12 pounds. So here we had about 6. And it looks pretty good. Now what we'll do, we'll tie it up. Go about right here. About, what's that, about 4 or 5 inches. We'll go forwards, pinch, backwards, pinch, forward a couple of times, pinch, backwards, pinch. And we'll keep repeating that until we're done. Squeeze it nice and tight, not too tight. You don't want to bust. Over the years, I've become a perfectionist with the accuracy of each link being the, with each link being the same. So I've been doing this a while. It's not that easy for many of you at home. It's really not, especially if it's new. You just gotta focus a little bit. We got a little bit left on the end there. So now what I want to do, I'm gonna run these off the table. So I'm gonna grab our sheet and I'm gonna throw these on here and throw them in the fridge for a little bit, about an hour or so. Let them kind of dry off, let them rest. You should always rest your meat, and that applies for sausage. You should always rest it. Overnight is best, but if you want to make it on one day, it doesn't have to be overnight. It can be an hour, a couple hours. So I'm going to get all this cleaned up. We're going to start up the smoker, and then we're going to smoke these bad boys. So what we're going to do is get this Primo fired up. Typically, I would use an offset smoker when smoking sausage. It's very windy today, so I'm going to stick with the ceramic egg style grill. Hopefully the wind won't affect it as much. So we're going to open the dampers. We're going to get our charcoal in. And we're setting up for a 225 cook. So what we're going to do is I have these fire starters. Spread the charcoal around. Place some of these fire starters in here. Grab the lighter and light them up. As long as there's no wind, this lights up pretty well. Once that wind kicks up, of course, like anything else, it can be a little bit annoying. This is some nice fresh royal oak lump charcoal. So this will burn pretty good, pretty quick. But most of the time I would use hickory just because I like the strong flavor. But considering it's going to be a bacon and beef sausage, let's do some applewood chunks from Oklahoma Joe's. I think it'll give it that rich, smoky flavor, but not overpowering, because hickory can be a little bit overpowering sometimes. So we're gonna let this get started, get it to 225, and then after that we're gonna throw our freshly made sausages on. All right, our charcoal's getting nice and hot. Spread it around. Hit it with the apple wood. Let that burn off. Then go back in with all our heat deflectors. I'm gonna shut this damper to the 1. I'm gonna close this up. And this is gonna be set to about 2. So we're gonna let this get up to 225, 200, 225. Shouldn't take too long. And that this type of grill smoker will hold the heat for hours and hours and hours, especially on windy days like this. That's why I'm using this, because an offset just doesn't hold the heat as great as this one does. So once this gets up to 225, we're going to throw on the sausages we made from earlier, smoke them up. We're going to give them an ice bath, then we're going to smoke them again, snap them open, and maybe enjoy them for dinner. I don't know. There we got a nice, I'm going to pop a couple of these holes as we go along. A couple of these air bubbles. I don't have any toothpicks at home. Typically I'd use a toothpick. They sell sausage prickers, but I've just always used a knife or toothpick, whatever you got. Pretty nice looking. Looks like the Primo's sitting at a pretty solid 225 for about 15 minutes or so, about 220. So we're gonna go ahead and throw these on. Nice smoke coming out of there. Right now. So a lot of people ask me questions about smoking on Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, head over there. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, all that. That's pretty much where I started. So a lot of people ask, how long? And like I just said, maybe about an hour. I just don't time it like that. You check them in 45 minutes, stick the probe in it, see where it's at. We're looking, the desired temperature is 160 internal. I don't use any cures. We're not cold smoking. This is a nice hot smoke. I do it for all of my sausages, and it really seems to work. I've never even cold smoked. I've never even used the cure in any of my sausages, mostly because I sell them raw. I just smoke them for education, video purposes, and then throw them in the ice bath. And you guys get to see, I'm sure you've seen it before if you watch these sorts of videos, but the ice bath is very important. And we'll talk more on that when the time comes. All right, it's been about an hour. See where we're at. They look pretty good. 155. Now it's time for the ice bath. And what this does is help with, one, stops the cooking process. Two, stops any wrinkling of the casings, because you do not want to overcook your sausage or it will wrinkle. So we're going to cool them down, and you'll see when you put them back on, it makes it nice and plump. You just want to sit these in here for about 15 minutes, and then we're going to let them dry really well. Bump the smoker up to maybe 275, 250, 275, and then get them back up to temperature, and after that, you're good to go. So we just dried off all the sausage. You know, it's fully cooked. But what we're gonna do is throw them back on the smoker. You can grill them, you can throw them in the oven. You get that nice smoke flavor now. So it's completely up to you, but I'm gonna smoke them again. So with that milk powder and bacon in there, these should be pretty juicy. We're gonna get that double smoke, extra smoky goodness. So we'll check back in about 30 minutes and see where they're at. Time for the reveal. Look at that plump boy, it's so firm. So firm. Let's cut into it. I like to do one long ways here, just to show the inside. Nice smoke ring. Let's give it a taste. I'm not gonna chew on the mic. I don't want you guys to hear that. Wow. Smoky, beefy, bacony, little bit of spice at the end, like a sweet and spicy almost. It works so well with the bacon. I've never made this before. This is the first time doing this recipe, and my goodness, I have a lot left here. It's amazing what you can do in your backyard when you have some time. Save you some money. I mean, it's that simple. It's that simple.